Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by AnglersChoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishing, Fish NV Guide Service, and Husky Musky Leaders. You're listening to Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio.
After a few years, and it was only last year that things, after 5 years basically, in 2012, we decided to kind of restructure the business and not only focus on our own production, such as Fly Nation, done of others as well, do the Costa Rica Challenge and whatnot, but also branch out and do it full time, because initially I had the Canadian Fly Fisher magazine. I was the managing editor for that until 2010, and that was really my main focus.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So the filming stuff was just kind of on the side, to be honest. Made a lot. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. The other magazine that you guys do is Fly Fusion, isn't it?
I work with the guys who publish Fly Fusion. I'm not involved in the management team, but I do contribute. And, we collaborate a lot, and there's a partnership between Fly Fusion and Vantage Point in the International Fly Fishing Film Festival. So basically we're co-owners of that film festival and work closely together to make it what it is.
Cool.
But awesome. For years and years before that, we were head-to-head competitors when I had the Canadian Fly Fisher. So, but those guys are great. I really can't say enough good things about them.
So, Nick, if there was a fish you could fish for the rest of your life, what would that fish be?
That's a really easy answer for me, and that would be gar.
Gar pike?
Gar pike, yeah. I live in Belleville, so I'm on the Bay of Quinte, and we've got some enormous gar, and that's kind of been my passion since I can remember. Even as a kid, I always liked getting them, and then, started chasing them on the fly and figured out how to do it, and I think I could do that every day and be a happy man.
That's awesome. Actually, when I was on Lake St. Clair, beginning of the month, we saw some gar pike.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they were following in our musky baits. And
wow,
really? As soon as they saw the boat, they'd take off. So it was pretty cool to see. Yeah, for
they're
sure.
really cool fish. Like, they're prehistoric.
Yeah.
And they get huge. And when you figure them out, like, they can't take a big bait. There's a really low hookup ratio on gar because a lot of times you just can't drive the big hooks into them.
No.
So you got to downsize. And with flies, it's perfect because we've got really small hooks that penetrate that toothy, bony mouth of theirs easily. I think if there were more gar, like, across the country, more people would fly fish because they'll often give you 3 or 4 chances, and they'll tell you what you're doing wrong. So if you see them following, they want a slower presentation. If if you don't see them following, then you got to put your cast closer to them and make them work a little bit less than they need to otherwise. So it's a lot easier to learn how to fly fish when you're fishing for gar than when you're doing it for trout, which will give you like one chance if you're lucky, and then they're gone.
Yeah, and I've also heard that gar pike are quite aerobatic once you do hook up.
Yeah, absolutely. So they do like to tail walk quite a bit, and more often than not, you catch them in pretty shallow water. So that instead of going down and sounding, they got nowhere else to go but up, and they put on a pretty good show sometimes.
That's fantastic. Now, working with Ashley Ray with the new series on WFN, she has conveyed to me her deathly fear of gar pike.
Yes.
Have you guys shot an episode yet?
We just did. I want to say maybe 3.5 weeks ago. We were shooting. Middle of June or late June, we shot here on the Bay of Quinte. And Ashley did it out of her kayak, and she did great. She overcame her fears.
Awesome. I really like that new Captured series, and it brings out a different side of Ashley if our listeners have ever had a chance to meet her at the Spring Fishing and Boat Show or the Toronto Sportsman Show, the girl you see on the floor, on the show floor, is probably not the same girl we know out fishing, eh, Nick?
You know, one thing about Ashley that I knew, like I've known her a few years, but her passion is truly genuine.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you see her doing a seminar or a presentation at a trade show, she's just as excited there as she is on the water, and I really think that's why so many people connect with her, because she's not professing on how to do certain things better or catch more fish. She's really spreading the passion for fishing itself, and I think that's a really good thing, and she's the right person to be doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. She does have that genuine nature about the sport for sure.
Absolutely.
So, the chopper.
Yes.
Love the chopper. It was funny, too, because I saw a chopper similar to the one that you buzz around with over Guelph Lake, and I thought, is that Nick? So I gave him a wave. Tell me about the chopper.
I love the chopper. You know,
how did that come about?
It's an opportunity to film from a perspective that you don't often see. And it's really sometimes the only way to convey the scale of things. You know, we're lucky here in our backyard. We've got the Land of Lakes. We got the Bay of Quinte.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful when you're on the ground or on the water. But when you see it from the air, you really get a feeling for just how much water we have here and how many lakes and how many islands and bays and rivers. And I think that translates into video really well for us because it just gives you these spectacular views that you don't always see in fishing shows. So we've been very fortunate. We have a partnership with a helicopter company out of Kingston called Corey's Copters, which they have pilots who've run IMAX cameras down inside of the Grand Canyon and really, really know their stuff. So between our passion for filmmaking and hanging out the side of these things and these guys' ability to fly it and stick it anywhere, basically, it comes out really well, and it adds a whole new dimension to a fishing show that I really like, and I think a lot of other people enjoy seeing as well.
Well, I hats off to you, Nick. Absolute humility. When I look at my stuff compared to yours, it's like apples and oranges. You have a cinematographer's eye in this industry like nobody else that I've ever seen.
I really appreciate that, Ben, but don't let that fool you. I can show you stuff from 5-6 years ago when we first started with handy cams.
Yeah.
Whatever we can get our hands on, and it's no better than anybody else's. And it's just a matter of sticking with it and figuring out what works, doing more of that, and less of the things that didn't work, and just constantly pushing yourself, you know, and my team to keep doing better and better and better, and eventually end up in a chopper one day, and you're like, oh, we got this, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely. Hence the name Vantage Point, because you, from a chopper, you have the absolute vantage point of catching all different kinds of angles that cameraman on the boat just doesn't get.
It's true. You know what? I really think shooting from a boat is probably one of the hardest things you can do. You're stuck there, for one. You're always moving. And if you're shooting at another boat, now your subject is moving too, and God forbid it's choppy or wavy or rough. Now, you know, I've gotten physically sick numerous times by looking through the viewfinder and trying to keep things in focus. And
so it's like seasickness, but only from the air.
Right? Yeah. But the chopper truly is, I mean, we're very fortunate, and we do it a lot. But we actually shot the Stanley Cup. Came to town here in Belleville in the helicopter, and we're shooting that today. So,
that's fantastic.
It doesn't end with fishing for us anymore.
That's fantastic. You guys have other projects as well as being part of the fishing industry.
We do. We do quite a bit of work for tourism, locally and nationally. And then in the wintertime, to keep busy, we've actually filmed for NBC Sports at the Dew Tour and at the X Games for ESPN. So it's a little bit different, but, I mean, the skill sets are the same. Mm-hmm. And as you know, we shot ice fishing with Ashley, but that was just one shoot. Whereas in the summer and spring, there is so, you know, our seasons are so short that literally every week, sometimes we're running 2-3 crews at the same time in order to be able to get all of the content we need during that short season.
Now, you talk about a crew. Who else is on your crew that you'd like to give a shout out and a thank you to?
There are many. The guys who work full time for Vantage Point are Yoshi Aoki, Tim Myers, Victor Cooper, Josh Nugent, and Naoto Aoki, Yoshi's brother.
Yeah.
And we have some great guys who come in and help us during the peak season when we really need it. There's a guy named Zach Heaton. He's out of Atlanta. We work with Zach a lot. He doesn't get the winters we do, unfortunately. Fortunately for him.
Fortunately for him, yeah.
Yeah. I really can't say enough about the people that I work with, and everybody makes each other better, to be honest.
Now, did you submit anything for the Fly Fishing Festival?
We usually, yes. So this past screening season, the 2013 season, our entry was the stand-up paddleboarding fishing redfish.
Absolutely loved that, and it inspired me to actually get out there, break out my 8-weight, and go pike and bass fishing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to hear that.
The other thing I wanted to touch on, you said Josh Nugent. Now, he is In the Loop one of your series as well that you're working on?
It is, yes.
Okay.
In the Loop is Earth.
So that's your newest one, along with Ashley Ray's Captured.
And yes, so we've got Fly Nation, In the Loop. Those are our 2 fly fishing series.
Yeah.
And then we've got Captured, which is all kinds of fishing.
Yeah.
With Ashley, and a 4th series called Sportsman 360 TV, which is hosted by NHL legend Owen Nolan.
Yes.
And it's a hunting and a fishing show. So the fishing episodes will be airing on WFN starting October-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the episodes, including the hunting shows, are already airing on Wild TV.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So you're not satisfied with just having one finger in the pie.
Well, busy is good, as they say,
Yeah.
I guess. And I think the thing that we figured out is, personally, my heart's in the fly fishing side of things, but I think we've proven that the methodology we take with producing fly fishing shows, we can take and apply to other shows, whether it's conventional fishing or hunting or outdoors in general. And that's what you see reflected in Captured, for example, or Sportsman 360.
That's fantastic. Any sponsors or anybody you'd like to give a plug to?
I don't know if you've got time for all of them.
Oh, sure.
But, I really want to thank the people from Fly Fusion. In terms of the fly fishing partnership we have, and with the International Fly Fishing Film Festival, it's as good of a crew of people as you could ever hope to work with. Also, the Shimano and G. Loomis camp, great supporters of the sport, and truly a company that does a lot to market the sport itself, not just sell their products.
Yeah.
We need more of those companies, I think, in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll keep it to those 2, and I love everybody. Work with just about everybody between the magazine and the video stuff we do, and you'll be hard-pressed to find people you don't want to deal with again in this industry. I mean, they're out there, but they're in every industry. And for the 99% of the time, people you meet in fishing, you always know that there's a passion that connects you, regardless of where you are geographically, the type of fishing you might be doing, the products they offer, and the service that you're trying to sell or whatever.
Yeah.
What connects you is that passion, and that's a good thing. And I think the world would be a happier place if more businesses were led by people with passion.
That's absolutely true. Nick Pujic, it's been a pleasure to have you on the line today on Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio. Nick is the executive producer at Vantage Point Media House, and he's also producer at Sportsman 360 TV and producer at In the Loop Fly Fishing, as well as Captured and Fly Nation. And you can check out three of the shows on WFN. Nick, it's been a pleasure, and hope to talk to you again.
Thanks so much for your time, Ben. Thanks for the call, and best of luck in your ventures. And I look forward to running into you, hopefully on the water, but for sure at a trade show, if not on the water.
Absolutely.
All right, man. You take care.
You too.
Hey folks, if you'd like to compare on McWhinney Outdoor Radio, be sure to drop us a line at McWhinneyOutdoors@yahoo.com. Cooper's away this week fishing, but he'll be back next week, so stay tuned for more of The Rant with Cooper Gallant, right here on McWhinney Outdoor Radio. Now it's time for Heather the Fish Widow.
Heather the Fish Widow here on Ben McWhinney Outdoors Radio. Guys, I hear you can't find enough time to get out on the water fishing. Here's a tip for you. Saturday night's coming up. Call up your spouse's favorite restaurant, book a reservation. Say 6 o'clock. Tell her, be ready for 5:30 because I'm taking you out on the town. So now she's going to be scrambling for her time to get her laundry done, her groceries done, get herself ready for the evening. All in this time, you can go pick up a buddy and get out on the water fishing. Just make sure you're home in time to get ready so you can leave on time to get to the restaurant to show your woman a good time. That's another tip from Heather the Fish Widow. Thanks for listening to Ben McWhinney Outdoors Radio.
Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by AnglersChoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishing, Fish NV Guide Service, and Husky Musky Leaders. You're listening to Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio.
All right, folks, my next guest is two-time Canadian Classic champ, former TV personality, and two-time Canadian Angler Hall of Fame inductee, none other than Big Jim McLaughlin. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hey, happy to be here, man. Happy to be here.
Jim, it's always the one person I want to see when I walk through the show floor doors is you. Why is that? Why is there such a draw to Big Jim?
I don't know. I'm just easy to get along with. Been around doing it forever, and I think it's just I think being there and being really easily approachable. Like if I see somebody at all look my way or anything, I'll say hi to them because you know quite often people won't. They won't engage. I think they're just a little shy, and plus I'm such a big guy. I don't know, maybe that scares some of them away or something. I don't know. But I certainly enjoy it, and I hope I got a lot more years left in me doing it, man.
Absolutely. Now, you were supposed to go fishing with Bob. Tell me a little bit about fishing with Bob, because I haven't had the opportunity to fish with Bob yet.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. I mean,
does he have any quirks? Like, does he have to wear like green underwear?
No, he's probably the most laid back person in the world. He's absolutely laid back. It's nothing's a rush. If we don't get it done this morning, we can do it this afternoon.
Yep.
I told you today here we had these wicked thunder and lightning storms all day, and we ended up, as I said to you, he was going to get here early in the afternoon, and we were going to fish till dark. We ended up chatting for 2 or 3 hours, and then the weather just went absolutely south. So
yeah,
but he just sort of sat around and chatted for a while, and then I jumped in the truck. I drove home here, back down from the Big Rito, and it just absolutely pounded down rain, lightning, thunder. Then you drive into the sun, dry pavement, back to lightning and thunder and rain and everything. And I got a couple of guys here at the house for the next 2 or 3 days here that are fishing the Renegade at the Big Rito on the weekend, and going to be a good time.
Now, the Renegade Bass series, that how long has that run?
Geez, I think Renegade's been around for about, it's got to be like 15, 18 years.
Wow. That's a long tournament series.
I see a lot of people don't realize about Renegade Bass, too. The way that came to be was There was a lot of different tournament circuits, and there was no organization and everything. Like, nobody owns Renegade. It's owned by the anglers, and everybody that's ever fished in Renegade has paid a $100 entry fee, and you're a member for life, and it gives you the right to, come pay your entry fee and fish the tournaments anytime you want. And it's, it's run by the anglers for the anglers basically, and it's worked out for a long time. They have what I believe is the biggest prize that they have at their championship. They have the little Ranger to give away every year, and that's certainly a draw. The guys they really like to have an opportunity to win themselves a Ranger.
A Ranger.
Always
Yes.
good.
What if you could fish for a fish for the rest of your life, Jim? What would that fish be?
You mean fish for only one fish?
You only got one fish to fish for the rest of your life. What's it gonna be, Jim?
Oh, it's going to be bass.
Yeah, you love them little green fish, eh?
I love it. There's nothing fights like a smallmouth, but I tell you one thing. I like. I really like fishing for my largemouth. So I love crankbait and largemouth. I love crankbait, period. As everybody knows. And it was funny. We were just talking here earlier. Well, I just came back in and said to Dave Chong here, I said, "Oh boy, I just rigged up 2 crankbait outfits. I've been told I'm fishing in 10 feet of water tomorrow for largemouths." So it's always fun. I'll like that. We'll have a good time doing it.
The magazine, the publication, Just Fishing with Big Jim.
Just Fishing, yep.
How long have you had that going on now?
20 years.
20 years. That's fantastic.
Yeah, a long time to go on. I remember when we started that, boy, we didn't have any idea what we were doing, and as it works out now, Tammy here, my wife, she does the whole thing on the Mac. She designs a lot of the ads and things. She designs every page. She does the whole thing, and I'm just blessed to have her do that, because it's a decent living for us, and we really enjoy doing it. And it's amazing to see over the last few years how her creative ability has come out in the paper when there's people look at the things and they think you got some big design house in Toronto doing it or something,
Uh-huh.
And it's actually the wife doing it in the office in the basement, So it's all good.
And it's a free publication, but people can actually subscribe to it as well.
Yeah, you can subscribe to it if you want to get it to your house, because we can only deliver so many to so many stores and things like that. So what we've done is we've put a subscription on it. We give you a couple of bags of power baits for the subscription and that. So, or you can read it online at justfishing.ca. Makes it simple too. It's easy, and I've got it in. I think there's like 120 different stores it's in. So it definitely gets around. I've got them going out into Manitoba, Thunder Bay, Saskatchewan now, and I got a few plans to maybe try and expand it a little bit. So hopefully.
Yeah, well, that would be fantastic. I know I enjoy reading it every time the issue comes out 4 times a year, and you definitely cover the industry quite well, I must say.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, we try to make it interesting for the people, and try to have like some how-to stuff. We try to get stuff that's basically newsworthy, like new products. Not just here's how do you fish a yellow worm for bass in a tree or something. We try to get things that'll really be I won't say groundbreaking, but just things that are just a little more interesting and more apt to get your own creative juices flowing as an angler and get out there and want to do something different.
You don't go to ICAST, do you?
I haven't been to ICAST in a while.
Oh,
I have not been to ICAST in a while. I've pretty well, a lot of the contacts and stuff we have, we pretty well know everybody already. So it's it's kind of tough to go down to a place like that and trying to sell advertising when people are trying to sell lures and make a living. So it's a different thing. It's not like going down and you're going down to buy a bunch of tackle from a company or something. I mean, they're trying to sell it, and it's kind of hard for me to get in their face and try and get them to buy ads and things. So we do most of it, outside of those shows. We let them make the money before we ask them for a little bit of it.
That's fantastic. Anything this year caught your eye in the industry and in the realms of fishing or fishing tackle?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of cool things out there. One thing is I've become associated this year, with Shimano with the Jackal product, and that's every day I fish with that stuff. I'm more and more amazed by it. Some of the stuff that they had come out, they've got some jointed swim baits and things that they just introduced, and I got my hands on, and they had a lot of. They won a lot of awards and things for lures, rods, reels, all kinds of stuff with Shimano, and that's what was really interesting. But there's a few Canadian companies out there too, that I'm not associated with that have some really cool stuff and won a lot of awards. I know that the Tamburo boys there, they've got that Freedom lure stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Some of that stuff is absolutely awesome. There's a lot of Canadian stuff out there. There's all the Ultra Tungsten stuff, which is, really, really cool. And there's always new stuff from that. They've got the Ultra Punch now, which I like to use. It allows you to Texas rig whatever you want. Have a jig look to it.
Yep.
I really like that kind of stuff. It really, really catches my eye. There's so much stuff out there. There's a lot of smaller Canadian companies too that are making a lot of plastic baits that are really, really nice. And then of course you've got Mark Kulik with the slammers and stuff like that. There's that stuff just keeps rolling. There's just so much Canadian product out there, and like really nice, legitimate Canadian product.
Yeah, absolutely. I can attest to a few of them being my partners. We have Handlebars Muskie Lures, probably some of the nicest looking bucktail baits that I've thrown for muskie. When we're out at Lake St. Clair, that's an eye-opener, that place. That'll humble the best of anglers at times.
Well, that's something else too. You got Mike Nabulsi down there at Waterwolf Lures and Bass Magnet. He's making all this muskie stuff. He's got those big, giant tinsel tubes now and everything like that. So it's really, really cool. There's a lot of stuff that's it's Canadian made, and it's darn good stuff.
Yep.
Darn good stuff.
Buying Canada matters.
Oh, that's to a certain point, boy. I know there's a lot of stuff that you can get here that's Canadian made and is as good as it gets.
Yep.
But obviously, we don't have, you don't have Canadian made rods and reels and stuff. But there's certainly a lot of tackle out there. So that's really nice to be able to support a Canadian company, and not buying something that's just another lure. You're buying stuff that is really legitimate, as good as it comes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool.
And 9 times out of 10, it's being created by somebody that takes a lot of pride and care and love even in what they do.
Yep. Well, yeah, I watched one day. I know I dropped in to see Mike Nabulsi at Bass Magnet one day, and I was looking at all these little tails that he had there and things and that he had made, and I said to him, there was a handful of them there, and I said, I'll put these in a box here for you. He goes, no, I'm not putting those ones in. They're not good enough, And I'm looking at them trying to figure out, well, what's not good enough about them? They look perfect to me, but if you got them beside the other ones and you looked at them real close, see a little bit of a difference. But it's that pride that makes the difference.
Well, Grant Copper is Mr. 4-time at ICAST now.
Yeah, that's scary. I was talking to Tom Choppin the other day about that new bait ball thing they've got, and that's
eh?
Yeah, they won an award with that. So I said to him, I need to get one of those to see, and he says, get to the end of the line.
Yeah, that won't be out till December.
Yeah,
that's the launch date.
He's something before that, but it's kind of cool. Something I'm really looking forward to actually is getting my hands on a CI4 Plus bait casting reel from Shimano.
Oh.
I think I'll be getting one next week at the Canadian Open, which is coming up in Kingston. So that should be a real treat. But that's something else,
Can you elaborate on that reel, being that you're pro staff for them and you've done a lot of work being partners with
I haven't touched one. I haven't been at it. I know that I'm just getting caught up on the new stuff here, and it's just absolutely incredible. This reel, it's something that they've worked at for a long time, and like CI4 is something that they've had in a lot of their reels, and now they've got they've added the X ship to this and a whole bunch of other features in it. Like they won for best freshwater reel at ICAST last week, and it's something I really can't wait to get my hands on. And I talked to Bob Mahoney the other day about it, and he told me, he said to me, Jimmy, he says, when you use it, never want to pick anything else up.
Well, I got a chance to throw the Tranks.
Yep.
And, you know, you get a 10, double 10, or a big bulldog or something like that, and you can't even feel it.
Yeah.
It's just so effortless. And for our listeners out there, if you're not familiar with the CI series of Shimano reels, what the C stands for is carbon, which makes it super light. And so it's a CI plus 4 reel.
CI 4 plus, yeah. They're like this.
Plus.
Like I say, they've got the Instigage in it and some other stuff. But going back to the Tranks that you mentioned, that's one of the things that brought Jim Sarek, you know, the muskie hunter, over to Shimano.
Mm-hmm.
Now a Shimano body, and he ranted about that reel at the shows this year. I went to breakfast with him a couple of times over at the Niagara show. I drove him over because he had flown in.
Yeah.
And I'd pick him up, we'd go to breakfast and go to the show, and man, he was talking about that reel, just shaking his head. He couldn't believe it, like you said, because he fished a lot of big, you know, number 10, 12 blade, stuff like that. And he just couldn't believe it. It just made it so much easier to fish with these baits that you weren't exhausted and your arm falling off half an hour after you start, you know?
Yeah. Well, I was blessed by getting my own Calcutta 250 and pulling in a double 10 handlebars. There was some effort there.
Yeah.
But then pulling it in with the Tranks, and I was like, is there even a lure attached to my line?
I couldn't believe it when I used one at first, the difference it made. And
the X-ship gear also in the spinning reels is absolutely fantastic. It is pure power. It's all torque. Fish have no chance of pulling drag anymore, I don't think, off the hook set.
No, it's some of the stuff. That's what I was just saying to you. That I'm just getting all the info and all the new stuff now and trying to get caught up on it here.
Yeah.
And especially for just fishing, and it's I look forward to it and really delving into exactly what's behind all these great things they've come up with and what all these awards from.
Well, I look forward to seeing you again, maybe sooner than later. Maybe we'll bump into each other at Sail. Is there anybody you'd like to give a plug to, Jim?
Well, I don't know. Hey, I'll give a plug. Anybody that's going to be around the Canadian Open next week in Kingston, that's all being done to benefit the Canadian Armed Forces Family Resource Center, and I'd like to throw out a big shout out to our Canadian Armed Forces, to all the armed forces, because it's you know, they allow us to do the things that we do.
Yes.
And it's really nice. It's a tough job, and it's a tough go for them being separated, and it's really nice to be able to be part of something where a little bit of money that's raised. I think it was $17,000 or $18,000 they raised last year that went I think it went to the name is evading me, like the Wounded Warrior type thing.
Yeah.
Canada. I'm not sure if it's the same name up here, but it went to that program in Canada, and it was really nice to see the people here accepting it, and the look on their faces. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, Jim, it's been a pleasure.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Anytime. You got the number. Use it, buddy. I always got lots of stuff to chat about.
All right. Folks, my special guest, Big Jim McLaughlin, and you can find Jim's online magazine or in paper copy, Just Fishing with Big Jim McLaughlin, at justfishing.ca. Take care, Jim.
Thanks, man. Take care.
Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio is brought to you by anglerschoice.ca, the Angler's Choice in handmade soft plastics. Also presented to you by Handlebars Musky Lures, Zing the Bling, Frantic Big Game Baits, Keith's Trophy Fishing, Fish NV Guide Service, and Husky Musky Leaders. You're listening to Ben McWhinney Outdoor Radio.